Hey y'all. So as always, I am going to wait to see who pops up. So I hope that you all have been doing well. So while we're waiting for people to come in, I'm just going to give you guys some updates. So I did my first live video in about 2 months, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and it was a live Q&A. So if you guys have not checked out that video, feel free to do so. I shared a lot of business tips, especially for people who want to write books, people who want to write copy. So make sure that you go and check that out. And also, I mentioned that I am working on a copywriting course. So if you are interested in being one of the first to sign up for it, make sure that you are following me on Gumroad. Also, make sure that you subscribe to my mailing list. They will be one of the first people to hear about it. And as far as my schedule, things are still busy, but I am managing everything. Like I mentioned in the Q&A, I'm making time to be here with you all because this is something that I did miss doing, and I've had a lot of thoughts like, oh, I need to share this with them. So a lot of what you will be seeing are things that I wanted to do earlier, things that I wanted to do in April and in May, but my schedule did not permit me to do so. But I'm glad that I will have a chance to talk to you guys about it now, and I will be out in August, and I'm not sure how long that break will be. So I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys some good quality content to tide you over throughout the summer, and that way I can regroup and come back ready for the fall. So if you have any ideas, or if there are any topics that you want me to talk about specifically, make sure that you DM me, that you leave a comment, and I will be sure to incorporate it. And also, just in general, if you wanted to ask questions for me to address on live, feel free to share those as well. So I'm going to wait about 1 more minute, and then I am going to jump into everything. And I do hope that you all have been doing well. I hope that you all have been thriving, you know, that you all haven't fallen off the wagon just yet. We still have 6 more months to go. Well, less than 6 months now. 6 months, no, 5 months and some change is what we have left to go. So just continue to keep working on those goals. Continue to keep striving toward what you are aspiring for, and you will get there. And even if it's not in the way that you thought you would get there, as long as you get to the finish line, and as long as you are enjoying the process while you're getting there. So it is 6:03. So I will go ahead and get started. And I have my handy dandy notes beside me just in case I forget anything. So if you all see me look to the side, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at my notes. And I want to go ahead and get these things out of the way before I forget, because I want to get in the habit of saying them. So make sure that you are following me. If you stumble across this video, make sure that you are following at She Writes Masterpieces on Instagram, or Confessions of a Good Girl on YouTube. And also, make sure that you like this video, that you save it, that you share it. And if you have any comments, any questions throughout the course of the video, make sure that you leave them below. Also, I want to give this disclaimer because I forget to do it in other videos. I am not a licensed mental health professional, so I'm just giving suggestions based on what's worked for me. So I am not a therapist, I am not a life coach, I am not a social worker, I'm not any of those things yet. So just make sure that anything that you take from this live, make sure that you check with someone who is a licensed mental health professional. Make sure that if you need immediate help, that you contact someone who is licensed, someone who can definitely provide the support that you need. So I want to get that out of the way. So what I want to talk to you guys about tonight, if you've noticed the title, Other People's Problems, O.P.P. And I forgot what year, but I think it was 90 something. Was it 94, 95? I don't know. But Naughty by Nature put out this song, O.P.P., and it was about other people's property, which other people's problems are, but, the song really was talking about another P word, but that's not what we're talking about. So other people's problems, obviously problems that are not your own. And I think a lot of people are unaware that the problems that they have are other people's problems. And if you find yourself overly anxious, having a lot of obsessive thoughts, if you find it hard to sleep at night, if you have a lot of negative thinking, if you have a lot of erratic behaviors and you're not necessarily sure or where it's coming from or why you even feel the way you feel about certain things, chances are it's because you are carrying around someone else's problem. And of course, that can be problematic because it interferes with your life. You know, with the things that I mentioned, it's very hard to function with your day-to-day activities when you're so consumed with things that are negative. So I wanted to talk to you guys about three main areas where you are likely to inherit these things from, and also three ways to free yourself from them. So to jump into things, so three ways that, and like I said, three main ways that I've noticed that other people's problems can show up in your life. They are inherited. They are things that are passed down to you. Number two, they are things that you are surrounded by, things that you attract. And number three, there are things that you go looking for, things that you go searching for. So in the event that they're not around you, you go to it. You gravitate toward it. So I'm going to break each one of them down so that you guys can get a better understanding of each one. So the first one, they are passed down to you. They are problems that you inherit. So with a lot of the things that we are experiencing, we have inherited from generations before us, especially black people. We have a lot of trauma that is generational, that is passed down from one generation to the next. And even though, you know, when you trace it back, no, it's not anyone's fault. However, how it shows up in our lives, that's on us to fix it. So if you are someone who's always been like, well, that's just the way I am. People know I'm likely to pop off. They know not to play with me. They know this. It's like, oftentimes that's not really you. That's really traumas that were passed down to you, things that you inherited. Especially if it's like, well, I'm just like my mama. My mama was like that. Or my daddy was like that. You inherited that from them. So this is seen if you are someone who has a lot of anger, if you have a very short temper, if you are someone, even if you don't show your anger in a very aggressive way, if you're passive aggressive, that's something that can be passed down. If you are someone who has a lot of negative opinions, a lot of unsolicited advice that is negative, those are things that you can pick up from your family members, things that you grew up seeing and you took that as normal. That's how people interact with each other. That's just what you do. Even demeaning other people, talking down to other people, these are things that could possibly pass down to you, especially if it was done to you, especially if you saw it done to other people. Even if you're someone who carries around a lot of resentment, a lot of bitterness, if you're someone who carries a lot of envy, that can be something that is inherited. So someone joined. Hello. So we're just talking about other people's problems, and right now I'm just discussing different ways that it can be inherited and passed down. So if you've noticed all of these negative patterns and behaviors, take a look around at your family first. And if you see similarities, that's probably where you got them from. And like I said, it gets passed down. So if you don't address it, you pass it on to your children. And even if you don't have children, your nieces, your nephews, like anyone who's around you, you continue that cycle and you carry it on. And it does resurface. It does show up when it is not addressed. So the next area where you might see other people's problems is you surround yourself with them. So this is your circle. So who are your closest friends? Who are the people that you work with? Who are the people that you associate with? Even the work environments that you tend to find yourself in. If you've ever been the type of person who's like, I don't know why, every time I go to a new job, I always find somebody like so-and-so. That's because you are attracting these type of people 9 times out of 10 because that is what you are used to. And even if you're not the person who's the gossiper, you're not the person who starts a lot of drama, you might feed off of it. It might be satisfying to you. Like if you have a coworker who always comes in, she had a wild weekend, and she comes in to tell you about it. If she's always fighting with the person that she's with, you know, if it's always drama on the job, oftentimes when you find yourself in like repetitive situations, it's you. It's not the situation. Even with your friends, if you have friends who always call and it's always something, or even if they are the type of people who never ask, how are you doing? What's going on with you? It's like it's always about them and their drama. Most of the time that's because you're attracted to that. Like they're drawn to you because they know that you will listen. They know that you will consume it. And if you've heard people say birds of a feather flock together, they definitely do. even if you don't have the exact demeanor as a person underneath it, the same thing that they're being fed with by telling you that is what you're being fed by receiving that information. So, the last way that a lot of negativity, other people's problems can show up in your life is because you go looking for it. You go searching for it. And this is one of those things where I struggle with it for a very, very long time. This is the one that will always get me. Even though I still had, the inherited problems, I also had, to question my circle that I had around me. But social media was one of those things that would get me all the time. I would spend hours upon hours down a rabbit hole. Why? I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to torture myself. But I understand now it was just me trying to justify not being happy with where I was in life. So with that, you go looking at other people trying to pick apart their lives. Well, like, did you see so-and-so got a new baby by so-and-so? Ooh, I don't even know how they got together. It's like, ooh, did you see this? Like, ooh, girl, they broke up. Like, ooh, so-and-so getting married, but he was just in so-and-so inbox the other day. Like, I noticed because he been in mine too. It was those type of conversations that I would have. Just going looking for things. And one of the things that would get me oftentimes is whenever people would die. People I don't even know, people that I don't have any type of connection to, trying to go down a rabbit hole to figure out what happened to them. And it's like, why is that important? Like, why not just see it, pray for the family, move on? But it's like, I just had to know, I just had to find out. And now it's like, I couldn't even recall a lot of people's names, because again, it's like, that was something that was not important to know. And to give you guys a very funny example of me just being overly consumed with other people's problems as it related to social media. So I think it was about maybe 11, 10 years ago. It was a while ago. So I don't even know who these people were. But there was someone who had had a child with their cousin, and they were bragging about how the baby looked just like them. It was a mess. And I just felt the need to comment on it. I made a whole post about it. And one of my sister's friends commented on it. And it showed up in my memories a few years ago, and I sent it to her. I was like, who were these people we were talking about? And she was like, I don't even know. And it's like, we both did not know who these people were. So it's like, why was it important to us at that time? Like, for what reason would we have cared? Like, how would that have benefited us? How would that have helped us along in life? And in 2012, I had to take a break from social media, and I probably mentioned this to you guys before because it just became too overwhelming. All these other people's problems, and they began to mix in with my own problems, with the stuff I had inherited, with the people who were in my circle. It just became way too much to bear, so I had to take a break. And even now, I have to have those moments where I have to pull myself out. And honestly, if it were not for me promoting the business, I probably wouldn't be on social media that much, because even now, it's not that frequent, and it's because I know, like, I have a tendency to go looking for things. So just to give you guys a recap of 3 ways that other people's problems can show up in your life. They're inherited from your family. They are passed down from generation to generation. They surround you. So in your friend circle, your co-workers, your work environment, even the type of situations that you oftentimes find yourself in. And number 3, they are things that you go searching for, things that you look for, things that you invite in, things that have absolutely, positively nothing to do with you. But I'm here to tell you that you can overcome all of these things. You can free yourself from other people's problems. And I can say that because I have done the work to do it, and I am still doing the work. So, 3 ways that you can free yourself from other people's problems. So, begin to celebrate not only yourself, but also other people. So I'm quite sure we've all been guilty of doing this. Whenever you see people doing something that you want to do, you have to find a negative in it. If you see someone getting married, someone having a baby, and that's something you haven't experienced yet, it's like, but he looked like he cheated, this or that. She don't look happy. If you find yourself doing things like that, just stop. Even if you don't mean it, wish those people well. Like, I'm happy for them. I hope they're happy. And even if it's not what it really is, what it looks like, let that be their problem to figure out. That's not on you to figure out. Wish people well. And also celebrate yourself. Because if you spent more time celebrating your own wins, you wouldn't focus on other people. You wouldn't be so concerned about their seeming, or is it seemingly, losses. What seems to be losses for them. Put it to you that way. So celebrate yourself. Even if you're not exactly where you want to be, acknowledge those small wins. So let's just say that you do aspire to be married. Celebrate yourself. It's like, I'm glad I'm single and I'm working on myself so that I can be married for when I do. So I can be ready for when I get married. Also, if you want to have children, like, practice spending time with the children who are already in your life. Be grateful for those experiences. Like, I did really well with so and so. It's like I really enjoyed my time. Focus on those small wins. And also in business, this is a big one. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you guys before. So when I was in the process of getting my business registered, I wanted to be the first person, to do it. Why? I don't know. It's impossible because you cannot control other people. And when I say the first person, like the first person, within the environment that I grew up in or from the high school that I went to. So it's like in this small area, which is a very, very small town. It's like I wanted to be the first to do it. So whenever I saw other people doing it, it's like, oh man, like they beat me to it. Like I couldn't celebrate them and also celebrate myself. It sounds crazy, right? But these are real thoughts that I had. So it took me a long time to get to a point to where it's like I'm happy for them. I hope that they get clients. I hope that they get business. I hope that they get sales. And at the end of the day, like I'm hoping that for me too. So you can celebrate yourself and other people. So the next thing to do to free yourself from other people's problems, pay very close attention to what you are consuming, the things that you are taking in. So whatever you are listening to, whoever you are listening to, whatever you are watching, whoever you are spending time with, whoever is closest to you, if there is a lot of negativity, take a break from it. Now, I'm not saying completely get rid of it, because I know there are a lot of people who enjoy shows like Power and other shows, I get it. But take a break. Take a break. If all you see is violence, if all you see is infidelity, if all you see is drama, fighting, negativity, Love and Hip Hop. I'm telling you, the first season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, I loved it. I loved it. But I just couldn't continue watching it. Because it's like it's the same formula. Somebody does something, someone doesn't like it. Next thing you know that they're fighting. Thank you for your comment. Thank you. And it's taken me a while to get here. He commented excellent words of wisdom and truth. It's taken me a while to get here. Like, this is from my real life. Things that I really had to work through. Things that really had me in a chokehold. Things that I would say that wouldn't let go of me, but I just didn't want to let go of them. So make sure that you are very mindful of what you are watching. Even if you're starting to take on behaviors, like the people you hang around, you start to take on their speech. Even the things that you listen to, the things that you watch. Make sure that you check that. Like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like me. So I might need to take a break from this. So last year, when I was going through a breakup, I had to take a break from watching couples. And that may seem like something that is so innocent, like, well, it's not anything that's bad, because they're giving you a positive image of a couple. However, there will be those moments where it's like, oh, like, I wish I still had this, or I wish I could do that, or it's like, oh, I had to take a break. I had to take a break because then those negative thoughts start to trickle back in. Also, with your friends, and I know this is one that might hurt a little bit, even with your family. But if you have to take a deep breath before you answer the phone, if you have to pray before you get on the phone, even once you're on the phone, like you have to brace yourself for what this person is going to tell you. If it's draining to talk to certain people, you might need to take a break. And like I mentioned to you guys before, if you have the people who only talk about their problems, who don't really care to see how you're doing, you might need to take a break. And I'm not saying necessarily completely break off the friendship, the relationship, whatever that connection is to you, but just reevaluate it. Figure out, do I need to talk to this person as much as I talk to them? Do I need to answer the phone every single time they call? I was guilty of that. I was very, 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 very terrified of missing people's phone calls, because there have been instances to where I had missed phone calls and then it was bad news on the other end of the phone, or someone really needed my help and I couldn't help them at the time. So I was overly anxious. So it was like, oh, I can't miss another phone call, even if I am sleeping. I felt the need. I have to wake up and answer this phone because clearly they need something. They're calling me this time of morning. I carried around a lot of guilt for that. But also, it was a lot of work having to show up for people, and I didn't even have the energy to do it. And when I was feeling drained, where I really needed that time to rest and recuperate, but I felt I had to listen to what people had to say. If you're starting to feel like that, set those boundaries. Let people know, okay, I'm not comfortable talking about this person. I'm not comfortable talking about this issue. And if they don't like it, that's their problem. Because being a people pleaser, you do get concerned. Well, I don't want them to be mad at me. I don't want them to not like me. I don't want them to think I don't want to talk to them. Let them think whatever they think. Because the people who really understand, they understand. And even sometimes the people who will understand may not understand at that time. But just give them time to get it because it's new. They're used to you always being there, always answering the phone. Just give them time to get used to it. And once they do, then it's like, okay, now we can set boundaries. Now we can set limits. Now I don't have to be drained when I talk to you. Now I can enjoy talking to you. And also, even if you set these boundaries and you still see the conversation going in a different pattern, change it. Shift the conversation. If they start to drift into that negativity, shift it to something positive. It's like, well, how are you feeling today? What did you eat today? What did you do? What do you have planned for tomorrow? Shift it. The conversation does not have to be about other people. And I will tell you, if that is all your conversations are about other people, you definitely need to reevaluate. Trust me. So, getting to the most important one to help you free yourself from other people's problems, just heal. Just heal. Focus on being the best version of you. Because I will admit, I did not even realize how much of other people's problems I was carrying until I started to heal. Because I'm showing up in therapy thinking this is what's wrong with me and I've been struggling with this for years. Not realizing how much of that was other people's problems. Like, that's not even my issue. It's just something that I took on, something that I volunteered to take on. And it's like, wait a minute, why am I here? And with me being empathic, it's very easy for me to pick up other people's emotions. So in certain situations, it's like my family knew, like, oh, better not let Erica find out. Because I would react to it. You know, things that would upset me, I would get angry. You know, things that would make me sad. It's like I would be in a depressed mood for a very long time. And it took me a while to figure out what was going on with me. I was taking on other people's emotions. Like, that's not even mine to take on, you know? And once you focus on yourself, you don't have time to focus on other people. Because you're too busy being positive. You're too busy getting to the best version of yourself. You're too busy letting go. Which is one thing that I had a very hard time doing when I was consumed with other people's problems. It's almost like you feel like you need it to feed off of. You need it to justify you. You need it to validate you. But it's like, nah. Like, you get to a point where it's like, whatever is not for me, whatever is not feeding me, whatever is not helping me to become better, I don't want it. I don't need it. And like I often like to say, you start to take on the Amarian principles of life. Like, I don't feel no ways. You begin to feel neutral about a lot of situations that you may have once felt strongly about. And some people might see it as like, oh, you've changed. You used to care about this and that. But it's like, I don't know what to tell you. Other than I'm in a better place now. Like, I'm not concerned with that. Like, that's not important to me. So, heal. All that time that you would spend going down rabbit holes, that you would spend looking for the negativity, that you would spend listening to the drama, to the fights, you know, that you would spend like just making yourself feel as if like you are the problem. Let that go and fill all that time up with focusing on being a better person, on growing, on healing, maturing, just learning to let things go and learn to just be at peace with everything. So, to give you guys a recap of other people's problems. So, 3 ways that other people's problems can show up in your life. You inherit it, you surround yourself with it, or you go looking for it. But here are 3 ways that you can free yourself from it. So, learn to celebrate yourself and others. Be mindful of what you consume. And most importantly, work on healing. And I guarantee you, you will see such a difference. Like, I can tell you guys now, it's like the things I used to be affected by, like, they really have very little effect on me now. And it's like, You know, and have you ever had people who would tell you things because they know the reaction they used to get out of you, but now it's kind of like, I really don't have an opinion. I don't know what you want me to say. You know, like that's funny to me now because the person's taken aback by it. Like, wait a minute, like that's not normally how you respond. But again, I'm in a better place now. I don't have to feed off of that. Like, I don't need that to justify my actions. I don't need other people's problems to validate how I feel, to feel better about myself. I can accept all the things that I am, even the things that I'm not. Like, I don't need any of that, and I keep it at bay to where I'm not affected by it. But what I will say, I don't want you all to think that it instantly happens. That as soon as you start working on yourself, you're not going to be drawn to the negativity. You're not going to still carry other people's problems. It took you a long time to get to that point, to where they affected you so much. So it's going to take you a long time to get to the point to where they do not affect you. You know, but as long as you keep working, just continue to keep pushing forward. Because even now, the negative thoughts still trickle in. Because again, I spend a good chunk of my life thinking these negative thoughts, carrying around other people's problems. But I have to tell myself, it's like, that's not for me, that's for them. You know, even if I might feel that someone might not like something I do or say, that's their problem, it's not mine. If they don't like it, that's them. You know, because I feel the way I feel about it. You know, if they don't like it, that's their problem. It's not mine. You know, even if you've gotten to a point to where you can let go of something that happened, but the other person is still holding on, that's on them to work through. It's not your problem anymore. And just keep reminding yourself of that. And test it out today. You know, when you see something that usually triggers you, replace it with a positive thought. Like I said, you see people on social media that normally would make you envious, be happy for them. Even if you don't mean it, just say it. I'm happy for them. You know, start testing it out. Start testing out those boundaries. You know, seeing, okay, let me see who's meant to stay around, who's not. Because I guarantee you, people will fall off quick once you start putting boundaries and limitations on the relationship. Because if they're not getting what they want, they're going to be gone. But people who really are there just to connect with you, to have community with you, seeing you change will inspire them to change. They will want to be different too because they will see how beautiful it is. So thank you guys for tuning in with me tonight to listen to my take on other people's problems. And all I can say is make sure that other people's problems stay their problems. Don't let them be yours, okay? Regardless of how they show up, don't keep them. Send them back. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure that you like this video, you save it, you share it. If you have comments or questions, leave them in the comments. Or send me a DM if you have any thoughts for any future shows that you want me to talk about, any conversations you want me to have. Make sure that you drop them in the comments or send me a DM. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow on @Masterpieces Writing for Pick My Brain. I will be sharing tips on how to write a book in 1 month. And this is actually something that I have done. So I will be sharing practical tips to help you guys do the same. So again, that will be on Pick My Brain on @Masterpieces Writing on IG. So that will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central. And as always, make sure that you go and check out my website. Now I am full for book coaching as well as editing due to the sale that I recently had, so all my spots have been filled. However, I am always open for a conversation. So even if you just want to get a feel from me, if you want to book ahead, make sure that you go to the link in bio, schedule a meet and greet. Or if you want to have a one-on-one session with me to pick my brain, if you needed help with bossing your goals or interview prep, or if you need an accountability partner, go to the link in the bio, check things out, sign up. And my Gumroad store is always open. So make sure that you go there, and the pay what you want to sell is still going on there. So make sure that you take advantage of that 50% off because I don't know how long it's going to last. So make sure that you go and check out the full ebooks and bundle deals to make sure that you get that discount. And as always, in the meantime, comments, questions, concerns, just reach out. Just let me know. Make sure that you're not only following me on Instagram, but that you're also subscribed on YouTube if you are watching it there. So make sure that you are subscribed to Confessions of a Good Girl. And also subscribe to Masterpieces Writing and Editing LLC. So again, I thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I will see you all tomorrow. But if not, I will see you all in 2 weeks. So I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. And I will see you all soon. Bye.